Welcome back to Studio Chatter. We're sure you can name the bullies you have faced in your life. Now our children and grandchildren are facing even more. What can we do to overcome the fear?
This is a tricky subject.
Not fun.
It is.
But something that really is worth talking about and confronting, because bullies are never going to go away. I think they're just changing with the times. So we hear many things now about anti-bullying campaigns and keyboard courage and cyberbullying and things that are going on in the background. I think on social media, it's not so much in person. I mean, I think it still goes on. I don't know if it's as much.
But it's so much easier.
It's so much easier.
But the social aspect of it. It is.
It looks
and I even
than...
remember back when my girls, so maybe this is 10 or 15 years ago, when they were in elementary and I was on the PTA board, and my sister had just started a bullying campaign at their elementary. And so I had her come speak to the board. And at that point, they said, we don't have a bullying problem. We don't need this at our school. Yes. And I remember our good friend, Tandy Twitty, her backyard backed up to the school. And I remember her coming and telling me, no, they do have a problem. They're just not seeing it. Like, I watch outside my window every day.
This is when your girls were in elementary.
So that's been 15 years ago. But I think since that point till now, I mean, no one could say that there's not a bullying problem, period. And our schools are now being proactive in having campaigns and different ways to deal with it.
Well, and even the secret ballot boxes where you can go and drop something and give it to an administrator or a teacher or something so that they are more aware, I think, so that they know that it's going on and can confront it from a different angle, so it's not as much to the bully. But I thought it was interesting in that introduction, if you've ever had that experience, we've all had it, and you just never forget it.
Like, it sticks with you, and your heart kind of goes back to that moment of how it felt.
And again, so many years later, the names are even still there, the memories there. I remember a couple of different occasions, like getting backed into a corner and being asked, "Well, why are you an only child? How come your mom and dad didn't have more kids? How come you take clogging? How come you do that?" I mean, just, and I don't know if necessarily that's like bullying. But you felt attacked. But you do feel, attacked. And then I don't, what do you say to that when you're, 8, 9, 10 years old, in grade school?
I take this really serious because one of my children did get bullied pretty bad to where that child felt like his life wasn't important.
Unsafe.
And I think I commend like the principals and the teachers and the people around my kids for stepping in. And we had a principal that had a zero tolerance. It didn't matter if he thought that it was true or not true. He would call the group in or the child in or whatever was going on and say, if I hear about this again, if anything happens, it will be suspension, like zero tolerance for everything. But I think it does take a village. I think that we need to listen to our kids and be responsive as a parent. I thought maybe something was wrong, but you think life's just hard or school's hard. But really listening and watching out for them because it's serious. And sometimes they don't like to reach out to us and tell us that there's something going on.
It starts very early. I believe it's starting earlier now even than maybe when we were growing up.
Yeah.
I think, girls can be cruel. The junior high years, you may remember some of that, but I mean, I think even in grade school now it starts a little bit younger, but there are ways. We've had folks in here talk about the Utah Safety app.
Yes.
So you can call into hotlines that way. There are hope squads if it gets to a level where it is, unsafe or scary for that person to want to go on.
I think it's important to mirror the proper behavior at home.
Oh, absolutely.
You need to look sometimes at yourself, like, how is our home? And I would, when my kids would come home and tell me about stories, I would also remind them, like, all kids aren't as lucky as you guys to have the home life that we do, that your mom and dad both love you and that we're here at night with you. That's not every home. When you're in elementary and junior high, you think every home is like yours. So if your parents are hurting you or, demeaning or whatever,
that's normal.
That's normal. And you're going to go treat others like that. So I think it's
And most of
Teacher,
those
let your
children,
kids
it's like an
know.
insecurity of some sort. That's usually why a bully bullies. I believe that they mimic how they're raised or different actions or whatever.
And not all the time.
And not
but-
all the time, but a lot of times there's something's
And
going
I think
on.
the other important thing as parents is to teach our kids not just mirroring behavior, but teaching them to be kind to others.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
And not just always think, oh, my kid's being bullied. Like, I hope you're not the problem. I
Yes.
hope you're
Right.
not the one
Oh,
doing
absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
Because
I think you do have
that
to look
can get
inside.
missed.
Because I think that sometimes I don't give my kids the benefit. Like, I want them to be so kind that sometimes when they'll tell me a story, I'll be like, well, what did you do?
I do that too.
And I just,
What did you do to
I
cause
don't
it?
think
Yeah.
that you can ever be too kind. I do think that you need to learn to stand up for yourself. And so there's that fine line there between not just taking it and walking away, but sometimes you do have to then confront. But I do think that if we need to teach kindness.
Well, absolutely. I think that's the scary thing about the devices, because it's too easy for maybe more high school age type kids to
be
take on
mean.
take on an alias or to use
that's
something
true.
else and kind of, go after that person. And there's not really one way to get to that source. So there's just so many different angles. So you almost prefer it to be in person if it's going to be that way, but it's just scary now. It's just a different world that we live
And
in.
sometimes that person doesn't know they're being bullied because the picture is going around without them really knowing that it
So
is until
sad.
it's so big.
Yeah,
so
the
late.
proper behavior needs to be taught at home, and I think we need to allow our kids to express their concerns to us without us freaking out.
Yep. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I
with
remember an incident with me in 7th grade, and I told my mom, and it kind of continued happening, and she said, I can't hear anymore. Don't tell me anymore.
that. And so then where do you take that?
Yeah.
Right. Then you
But now,
hold
as
on
a
to it.
mom, when you're hearing these things from your child, it's so much to take in. Sometimes you
is.
can't do anything, and so I understand where that's coming from. But you
But
can't
not
do
doing
it.
is
No, it is hard, especially with the mama bear instincts. You just want to go
reach out and lash. You
and
do.
sometimes they just have to work it out on the playground. So I think it's balanced, but very, very good topic.
Teaching them how to handle conflicts, I think, is crucial.
Yep.
So do your homework.
Absolutely.
There's lots of resources out there.
Be there for them.
Coming up next, have you heard of CBD? We'll learn more about it. Stay with us.